Hey everyone, before we talk more about that game you just saw, I've got to announce a few things first that you don't want to miss. I made a game for the 106th mini jam with Nabora, John Ives, and Jolo, and we made a really awesome game about the vast endlessness of the universe. It was about frogs. And killing toads. You can play it in the browser, and if you send me a screenshot of the ending screen in my Discord, I'll give you a special Riptide heart. We released Bitlands on Steam last month, and as I promised, I've just donated all of the game's revenue to charity. And with a slight change of plans, I've decided to send the money over to UNICEF for Ukrainian relief. UNICEF helps organize refugee camps, which includes things such as education, food, water, and physical protection and sanitation. It wasn't the original plan, but God knows things are always changing. You can find out more with a link in the description. So in case you didn't know, I do a lot of sound and music design. I actually have a really awesome song to show you in this devlog too. As a result, I record almost all the sound effects for my games, since I can never find any good ones online, and I don't want to pay for a sound library. Alright, let's get some grass. Oh, what an exquisite crunch sound. So, starting this week, I began creating a 100% free online repository in GitHub that contains all of my original sound effects. All sounds are recorded in stereo with noise reduction in a .wav file format. Okay, so I'm going back and editing this right now, and I can't believe I just said .wav. That's gotta be one of the stupidest things I've ever done. Alright, carry on. No more using shady YouTube MP3 converters. Every time I have a new batch of sound effects, I'll upload it over there. Over in my Discord, we just started doing daily pixel art themes. Here's some of the awesome art people have made. If you want to access beta versions of my games and have your artwork appear in a video, you can join my Discord with a link in the description. Okay, now that we have that out of the way, let's talk about my new game, Earthward. The title is still a work in progress and will probably be changed, considering the game is only a couple of weeks old. But I don't know any other game that has this title, so we're gonna run with it for now. Earthward is a 2D platformer RPG roguelike, where you traverse randomly generated levels to collect resources, defeat monsters, and craft gear as you delve deeper down into the world and discover a terrible secret that could destroy the world as you know it. After making about 3 personal projects with the sole intention of improving my programming and art skills, I am now much more confident in developing this kind of game. Nonetheless, one of the most important things to do when starting any project is to question the scope. Can this project even be made? If so, how long will it take? So I created a Google document outlining every possible detail and game mechanic I wanted or even just thought of randomly on the fly. After I had written everything down, I kept what was possible and what was fun, but got rid of things like multiplayer and extensive crafting recipes because A, I have no clue how to do networking and it sounds like a practical nightmare, and B, having too many recipes can be a little overwhelming. Better to have quality over quantity. One of the core mechanics of this game is the inventory system. The inventory system will have 31 slots in total. 24 for items, 6 for the hotbar, 6 for equipment, and of course a trash slot. The player will craft items by combining them in their inventory to make something new. I thought this was an amazing original idea, but of course once I had finished coding it I realized this is exactly what a game called Magicite does. Then I realized that the general layout of the inventory and stats was also similar to Magicite. This was entirely unintentional and it actually made me really upset because I can't in good conscience do exactly what another game does. Since I really liked what I had so far, I decided to go ahead and list the similarities and differences my game had with Magicite and change things to make sure I wasn't accidentally making a carbon copy. The more I looked into it and wrote stuff down, the more I realized that my game was actually wildly different, and in the process, I actually got a better and wider perspective of my own game. For example, Magicite has horizontal level generation. My game combines vertical and horizontal level generation. Magicite has a basic inventory. My inventory has different recipes and more functionality, as well as different item use styles and slots. Magicite has a hunger bar. My game does not have a hunger bar, and it uses food as a way to grant the player buffs like life regeneration, strength, speed, and a bunch of other stuff. I could go on and on about the differences, which is actually a really good thing. Now that I had the peace of mind and what I like to call project clarity, I could really start the meat of the development process. The first thing I did was program the base physics of the game, the camera, the player, resolution scaling, and collisions. So far, they feel pretty good, although I definitely need to add another movement mechanic, so if you have any ideas, please tell me in the comments below. Next, I started working on the inventory. Now, as usual, the fine details aren't all there yet since it's still in the prototype phase, but it looks pretty good so far, and it works like a charm. All I have to do to make a new item is call a single script where I pass in arguments like the name, item ID, color, stat bonuses, and etc. It's so efficient. The same goes with adding a recipe. I call a single script and pass in the 2 item IDs I want to combine, and then the item it crafts, and then how much of that item it's supposed to craft. This is probably the first time I've been able to make an inventory like this that has 0 bugs. I literally tried my hardest to find an error, but I couldn't. Hopefully that bodes well for the future. And I also started to create backups of my projects in a special folder every other day, which I didn't do beforehand, and it led to some very unfortunate loss of data. I'm looking at you, Bitlands. The last thing I did was write a song for the Faded Forest, which is what I'm calling this area, so that way I had something nice to listen to while I was testing. Here's a quick snippet of the track. So far, the development is looking pretty good. I'll talk more about the visuals and art style in the next devlog, because the player itself could be an entire video or even 2 videos if I wanted, because it's just that crazy. So stay tuned for that. If you want to support the time it takes to create my content, consider becoming a Patreon supporter with a link in the description. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next devlog.